At Miller Pipeline, our crews work hard. But in order to stay competitive, we need to work smarter, not harder. As a company, we all need to be looking for ways that we can do our jobs better. Sometimes that means new tools or processes. Other times, it means improving our workflow and eliminating waste, which can come in many forms. Through direct observations, we're working to become leaner, to reduce or eliminate waste in our everyday processes. When most people think of waste, they think of dumpsters, junkyards, or other trash sites, but waste can take many different forms. The extra trips you take from the supply storage to your van is a form of waste. Spending time locating necessary tools due to excess inventory is another. Waste is anything that we do that is not value added, something a customer wouldn't pay us for. Let's look at a typical day at a Miller Pipeline job site and see what types of waste we can identify in order to improve our processes and become more efficient. In order to help eliminate waste in our daily routines, remember TIMWOOD, which stands for transportation, inventory, motion, waiting, overproduction, overprocessing, and defects. By keeping TIMWOOD in mind, we can be on the lookout for wasteful processes and work to eliminate waste. The first area is transportation. Have you ever found yourself making extra trips to the yard, the utility company staging area, or to a supplier for materials? With a little extra planning, we can reduce those extra trips and reduce transportation waste, which is defined as moving anything, people, tools, equipment, information, more than is necessary. If you didn't have to leave the job site to get fuel, special tooling, or additional equipment, think of how much more productive you could be. Extra trips means wasted fuel, wasted time, and lost revenue for the bottom line. The next area to consider is inventory. When your van is overstocked or there are too many supplies at the job site, you can waste valuable time looking for what you need. If your shelves are disorganized or overstocked, you can end up spending all of your time looking for what you need instead of actually doing the work. Instead of loading extra inventory for those just-in-case scenarios, load the equipment that you need in order to do the job. The key to reduction in wasted inventory is knowing what you need, when you need it, and where it's located. Next, be mindful of your motion. Have you ever considered how many trips you take to pull materials from your van? The motions you use every day add up. You might take several trips to install a riser on a service when you really only needed one or two. Focus on getting the job done in the fewest amount of trips. Reduce trips by keeping a bucket stocked with the tools used most frequently. Eliminating even just a few extra steps throughout the day can significantly improve your overall efficiency. Unnecessary waiting can often be a huge waste. How often do you arrive at a job site and simply have to sit around waiting for other work to be completed, materials to be delivered, or some shared resource to arrive? A welder, a vac truck, a directional bore machine, or a piece of tooling. While in the process of trying to be productive and ahead of schedule, you accidentally create a time waste. To eliminate this, spend some time planning your work, and make sure you communicate with others through daily huddles to discuss the jobs going on that day, making more effective use of everyone's time. Overproduction is another example of waste. This occurs when we go beyond what is required. Unrolling an extra hose in an attempt to save time can end up causing you to waste time by having to move and roll it up later. When we overproduce, we waste time, create more work, and become less efficient. In order to avoid overproduction, it's critical to not work out of sequence in an attempt to get ahead. If there's a plan in place, you need to stick to it. It's also important to avoid overprocessing, which occurs when we perform unnecessary tasks to meet perceived customer requirements that don't really exist, like too many sign-offs on a document, or using equipment that is the wrong size for the job. Make sure you understand the requirements of a job before scheduling your equipment resources. Another example of this would be digging a hole that is deeper or longer than it needs to be. Not only is the hole too deep, but the riser doesn't fit properly, which means the hole has to be filled back in just to accommodate the riser. Overprocessing means performing tasks that are unnecessary and simply add to the work. The final waste for us to consider is defects. This waste goes beyond equipment not working properly. Defects means that our products and end results don't meet customer requirements. Before you start a job, you need to know and understand exactly what the customer wants and needs. This could be as simple as understanding the pay units in our contracts. It's also important to understand customer standards and policies contained in the contract. Or pressure testing a service, or installing a meter next to the house where everything is correctly measured and placed. Oftentimes, these examples of waste are compounded when we find them together. Transportation and motion waste often go hand in hand. Setting a generator and running the cord only to find that you don't have enough cord means lifting the generator out, resetting it, and then running the cord again. In this instance, understanding the requirements of the job and bringing the right equipment will save you valuable time. A messy van versus an organized one can not just save time, but it can save money, make us more productive, and get us on to the next job sooner. The next time you're loading your van, waiting at a job site, or working on a project, remember TIMWOOD: transportation, inventory, motion, waiting, overproduction, overprocessing, and defects. Not only will this help us identify and eliminate waste, but we'll also be able to improve safety by discussing projects and hazards during team huddles. And our customers will be more satisfied as we work to satisfy their needs and remain compliant with regulations. TIMWOOD helps us create a more productive, positive, and efficient work environment in which we can all improve on our own work. What waste do you see in your daily routine? How will you work to remove it? Remember TIMWOOD, and you'll see the waste you can start removing right away.